traffic rules and laws and basically blowing past these red lights. Stephanie, what else can you tell us?
Right now, we're still waiting on the most important information. Is it confirmed if this person did, in fact, steal that car? We know a lot of times in the past, these pursuits in South LA, that is, in fact, the case. But you never know what's going through these people's mind, where they started. But we can tell you, Sharon, and you've covered many of these, they often go back to the area of origin. So perhaps the car, if indeed it was a carjacking, was stolen in this area.
All right. For our CBS 2 News viewers, we will take a break and be right back. In the meantime, if you're still watching us here on KCAL 9, you're watching a pursuit that's in progress in the Inglewood area.
Yeah, Sharon, this is Jeff Michael, by the way. I just joined you, and I'm guessing that the chopper has not found the car at this point.
They did. They were following that car, but then I think it appears that it just sort of took a turn and got a bit lost. You see the units there on the upper right side of your screen, behind those buildings, behind that Wendy's there. That's where the pursuit is happening.
All right, there we see the black and white.
Yeah.
And now we're moving from Inglewood, getting a little closer to LAX, which becomes an issue not so much for the police helicopter, but certainly for our helicopter as they get into the air traffic control area. Obviously, where planes are landing. Yeah.
A very busy area as well. You see a number of businesses and a lot of traffic at this time. It is 8:30 in the morning, close to it. A rush hour, basically.
Yeah, but it seems like, at least in this area of Inglewood, there's the car. In this area of Inglewood, not too much traffic, not going very fast either. It's, do we know how many, as I said, just joining you, do we know how many people are inside? Have we heard that from police?
We don't know. We don't know whether the driver is a man or a woman. And we're still in the process of confirming whether this is a carjacking suspect.
Sharon and Jeff, we just got off the phone, our assignment desk did, with local police department. They said no information. They have absolutely no information right now, and to call them back.
We want to welcome back our CBS 2 viewers. You are watching a pursuit that's happening in the Inglewood area. A number of police units, LAPD units, in pursuit of that car there. It appears to be an SUV. It just blew an intersection, and it has been going at a very low rate of speed so far.
And just to give you a kind of a beat on where we are, if you saw the construction area, that's where the new Ram Stadium is being built. So we just went past that. And now, I don't know if Inglewood police have shut down traffic, because I can't imagine that that street is that sparse at this hour, but it is. And only at this point, probably about 2 or 3, I would imagine, black and whites behind them. And while we're going to continue covering this on KCAL 9 News, we are going to let our CBS 2 viewers go ahead and join someone else in progress.
Right. All right. For our KCAL viewers, you are watching a police pursuit going on right now in Inglewood. This started roughly in between 8 and 8:15 this morning. You see that SUV there crossing that intersection. Well, there are a number of LAPD units in pursuit of this car. And right now it seems to be a slow-speed pursuit through surface streets. We are trying to find out whether it is a carjacking suspect or suspects that is in that car right now.
Yeah, we're very often in a case like this, officers will just pull the car or want to pull the car over for something, and it's a failure to yield. The person just doesn't want to pull over, and that could also be what this is. When you look at someone going this speed, which is below the posted speed limit, you very often find someone who's just nervous and doesn't know what to do. They know they don't want to talk to police, but they're not exactly sure where they're headed.
In many cases on the phone, talking to somebody else and trying to figure out what's going on.
And guys, if I can jump in here, we are our known location now, Century Boulevard westbound, as we have been for quite some time, crossing La Brea. So very close by is going to be LAX, and then we'll hit restricted airspace there. So we are very close to the 405. Of course, the 405 at Century is your LAX exit. So this person was crossing the 110 a little bit ago, made no indication that they wanted to get on the freeway, but once we hit the 405 and head closer to LAX, we may start to see some changes here. And then, of course, the police will have to back off a little bit as well.
Well, the airport police and the LAPD, and I'm not sure, in fact, I have to, because this began in Southgate, it could be Southgate PD who are following them. They all work together very well. But if this driver was to attempt to enter the airport, that's when all bets are off.
Right.
Because the airport police do not let an out-of-control vehicle into the airport. But I would doubt that would happen. It doesn't seem like this driver has a whole lot of intentionality, behind him right now. You would think.
Still going at a pretty slow rate.
But they're not, as we mentioned before, not driving erratically per se, making any wild turns left and right, or they just seem to be cruising around trying to blend in with traffic. You can see, we're going by the 405 right now. That busy side is the northbound side of the 405. And the southbound side open, but they've already gone under the freeway there, so not jumping on the 405. But we are right next to LAX there.
And there we see that driver right there. We picked him up on the other side of the 405.
Now this is just a hotel area. There's your map you saw there. This is, as you move into Century and you're heading west toward LAX, there are a lot of hotels, and the traffic is, he may not have had a lot of traffic before, but now there's going to be an awful lot. Now this is what I was talking about with our helicopter. Our helicopter has to stay within a very exact parameter and keep of LAX and keep in communication with the control tower. They give the helicopter a specific altitude, so if we lose this car momentarily, that
person is. You'll see him.
Going behind another hotel. Staying on Century Boulevard. Now,
has been for the last 10 minutes or so. That driver has remained on Century Boulevard.
Yeah, but he's going to have to make a decision here.
Yeah, at some point he or she will have to make a decision. Looks like that person has picked up some speed, don't you think?
Hard to tell. I know Sepulveda is coming up. Sepulveda is the right turn or left turn that he or she would make before going into the airport, and they're getting very close to that, slowing down. Well, now here's interesting. Yeah, because this is the first time the driver has met up with a problem.
Yeah, and there's the Denny's on the corner, so we are right up next to Sepulveda. You turn right there, you go right to the...
What intersection was that, Steph, do you know?
That was Sepulveda.
Sepulveda.
Okay,
yeah, and you can see they're making the railroad, or the railway heading towards LAX, so that's been a year out of construction. It's still there, but this person passed on by.
All right, now we're moving over by... this was kind of the freight area. No, actually not. He's going to go right up on a World Way.
Interesting.
Yes.
Oh, and that truck just pulled out right in front of him, so that truck's going to be going slower, too. That might mess this person up a little bit as well.
And that truck is now pulling over.
Do we know if asking our producers, do we know if this is LAPD or if this is Southgate?
Okay.
Southgate.
Southgate, okay.
So they would have told Los Angeles that they're coming into their jurisdiction. LAPD could have been, I'm sure, is helping them. But this is really going to be interesting. Now, wait a minute. He should have already, or she should have already gotten into up into LAX. Stephanie, did they make a turn?
Yeah, they turned off. It's unclear right now because there's all the wiring. I can't see the street names. That's what's difficult. If he continued on Century, that's of course where you have all of those rental car places and
very much so.
Giant parking lots. But it's kind of hard to tell right now.
It looks like a commercial area.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
a commercial area or even an industrial area borderlines the two, but
we're still either east or southeast of LAX.
Looks like that person made a loop, but maybe I'm just...
Yeah, World Way is over there as well.
Right. That's what takes you into the terminals.
Yes.
He's going westbound.
Well, you can't go westbound very far without running into Southwest Airlines. Coming up to another intersection, making a decision. Now, there's a red light there.
Yes.
He's going to go through the red light. Nope, took a right.
Okay. All the cars are pulling over to the side. They're seeing the units behind this SUV.
Maybe he is on Sepulveda. I mean, we're going to...
Can we tell what... Yeah, we're trying to
there's
figure out what
Avis.
street.
Right.
When you lose that visual and they make a few turns, it gets
Clearly, this driver does not know what he's doing.
No, but if he's now going
he's
north.
Going northbound. Okay.
Well, if history would be any indication, he would just want to get out of there, maybe head back toward the freeway.
Just past the Hertz.
Yeah, this is There's no reason at this point, from a police standpoint, for officers to really do anything to intervene, unless they have information that the driver is armed, that there is someone in the car being held against their will, or if the action of the driver is putting others at risk. Those are the reasons that officers would do the pit maneuver, which is where they spin the car around, or when they would lay out a spike strip, because all of those maneuvers actually, come with consequences. They can put the driver in danger. They could put other drivers who are on the road in danger, so they don't do it unless they have to. And at this point, that's why you just never know how they're going to end, but at this point, they're calm to just say, yeah, let's follow this guy, not provoke him anymore, or this woman, and see what happens.
And if this is a carjacking situation, I just hope the victim is safe somewhere and not in the car with the suspect.
Yeah, that would be
that would be
unusual.
Well, and a horrible situation.
And it looks like he's slowing down just a little bit right now.
Maybe we can get a beat on the street sign there as he goes through. Nope, the back of the street sign. All right, making a left turn.
And usually with those pit maneuvers, they have to wait until the car's moving at 30 miles an hour or less. And then if they put out a spike strip, it doesn't disable the car right away. So that person could keep going for miles and miles.
Oh, we've seen them. Yeah, Stephanie, we've seen them right on rims.
Exactly. And you see those sparks
that's
before.
LA County Sheriff's Department unit that's following him now.
Well, they could have picked it up in Compton because they cover Compton.
So a number of agencies we've seen following him.
Jeff and Sharon, I just wanted to let you know our assignment desk did confirm this is in fact a carjacking suspect.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, then, now we don't know. Once again, you don't know if on a carjacking, which is kind of a colloquial term for stealing someone's car from the driver, you don't know if they used a gun. Very often they can just walk up and say, hey, get away from your car, I'm taking it. So the other piece of information we need is this person armed? We know that that they're certainly bent on doing something that they shouldn't, that they're bent on breaking the law. So that gives us a little bit more information and know what officers are dealing with. And we also want to point out, because we just lost a police officer, I believe it was in Whittier, right? And correct me in the booth if I'm wrong on that, just walking up to a car, a normal routine stop, as they say, and that officer was shot and killed. So as if you will, I'll be honest with you, as boring as this may seem, when you're the police officers behind, you do not know what is in store for you. And that's why you have to be very cautious.
Yeah, Jeff, you're talking about that situation where it was a gang member that had been out of jail for less than a week, was involved in a traffic accident. The officer just went to the car to help that person, and shots were fired.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a very scary, very dangerous job for these people. And so you understand the strategies, especially on surface streets when pedestrians are involved as well, people completely unaware going about their normal routines, crossing the street, and then you have a pursuit and you become unintentionally a part of it.
Going back, looking, are we in Westchester?
We are in Westchester right now. What street are we on?
Passes westbound Manchester passes.
Okay,
Right, we think it's Sepulveda.
Yeah.
Now westbound on Manchester. Okay.
Yeah, hasn't picked up any. He hasn't picked up any speed. Oh, we are westbound on Manchester. Okay.
So again, we're still around LAX.
Yeah. Heading over toward Loyola Marymount.
And Lincoln is a big thoroughfare as well. So if this person decides to make a turn north or south, hitting Lincoln will be also very, very busy.
If you're just joining us, this is Jeff Michael along with Sharon Tay, and we are following a pursuit that began in Southgate, a carjacking suspect, and he has been going slow the whole time.
Yeah. You're watching a pursuit that's in progress right now in the airport area. This has been happening since about 8:15. Actually, we picked it up at around 8:15. For CBS 2 viewers, we welcome you this morning. You're watching breaking news of a pursuit that's happening in Westchester. This is near the LAX area. A number of units, law enforcement units, are in pursuit of this SUV. We believe that the occupant, the driver inside that SUV, is a carjacking suspect.
We don't know the situation surrounding the carjacking.
But this pursuit...
For CBS 2 News viewers, we'll be right back with more of this pursuit.
And we continue on KCAL 9 following police who were following at least one person inside an SUV that was apparently carjacked from somebody in Southgate. We haven't seen anything out of the ordinary, though, as this person drives. I mean, I don't even think that's blowing a red light there. And that is
Georgetown.
Georgetown. Thank you, Stephanie.
Okay, so Lincoln Boulevard coming up here.
Okay.
And this is a nice area. We're getting closer and closer to the ocean and Playa del Rey. So you're going to see a lot of homes, a lot of apartment complexes.
They're going away from the airport
yes.
towards Playa. Okay.
No real plan there. You see probably about now, I'm counting about 5 black and white units, along with, Southgate police, along with sheriff's deputies following this person. Southgate police would be in charge of this pursuit, but really there's very little to be in charge of at this point, as slow as this person is going. There you see a car just parked there in the left-hand turn lane.
Looks like he's about to stop. But then he's probably...
Well, everybody else there is stopped, but he's going through.
He's going to go through it. He's going to go through that intersection. Gosh, going exceptionally slow.
Yep, they just crossed over Lincoln Boulevard there.
That was Lincoln,
yeah.
Police will always tell you if you are driving on the street and you see a lot of squad cars and perhaps find yourself in the middle of a pursuit, maintain your lane. I know it's reactionary to pull off to the side, but police always tell you maintain your speed, maintain your lane. Don't try to interfere with any pursuit going on, just let it pass you by. On the 210 freeway months ago, we saw some activity with a wild pursuit, and a semi-driver saw what was going on in the rearview mirror, tried to cut off the car being pursued, and the police, though it actually ended up helping, they said, please don't do that in the future. Just keep on going your speed, your pace, maintain your lane, and keep yourself safe first and foremost. But it appears that this person is lucky, and there aren't very many cars on the road in front or around this person.
In case you're just joining us, you are watching a slow-speed pursuit in progress in the Westchester area. This driver headed towards the Playa del Rey area with a number of LA County Sheriff's units behind.
Manchester doesn't go that much further, guys.
No.
So we'll dead end here at Pershing Drive, and you're just a hop, skip, and a jump away from the ocean there.
And that's a very busy area right there at Manchester and Pershing. And then there's so many condominiums in that part of Playa del Rey, as you said, Stephanie. So it would almost indicate that this driver really isn't very familiar with the area, because there's no strategic reason to be driving toward the beach.
Exactly.
And he's not really trying to get away. And I'll use the word he. I believe it's a male, but we don't know for sure. Not really trying to get away.
That was Saren. Yeah, we're seeing some indecisive behavior now without using the blinker, going in the left-hand lane, the right-hand lane now, perhaps very unsure of where they're at.
Or just lost, just lost.
Too, yeah. Usually, look, I mean, carjacking, people who steal cars, they have a reason to do it. It's not just on a lark. So whoever did this needed a car and needed to go somewhere. That's why you want a car. And yet it seems like this person has absolutely no idea where to go. Especially, as Stephanie pointed out earlier, the reason they go back to an area they know is not just so they can know where they're driving, but it's so they can hide. They can jump out. And they've been successful in the past doing that. Maybe be taken in by a friend, You know, they know the neighborhood so well that they know exactly how to get away. Not happening here.
Yeah, you can see people off to the shoulder, workers at the what Playa West Automotive. They were outside, standing, looking at what was going on, all the activities. So they're seeing all of those squad cars. People are starting to come out of their businesses and watching this go by. Now, the person just passed Falmouth Avenue, and we are coming up on Tuscany and then Pershing Drive, where Manchester runs out of steam there as far as that street.
Interesting to see what this person does next, because the options are quite limited, no?
Exactly.
Yeah, you can go into, I mean, Manchester, you're right, Manchester does continue, but not in the size of street that it is now. All right, going through another intersection. Oh, deciding to make a right.
Not sure.
Maybe a left, maybe a U-turn.
A U-turn. Clearly, this driver is lost.
Right. So we're making a left on Pershing.
Okay, so that, if this person continues going south, that will put us back down towards the airport.
You know, there's really, as you watch this at home, and we're keeping an eye on it, there you go, there's the map, shows you exactly where that person is driving. You see the Playa del Rey on your left. Right to the right of the Y is Pershing Drive. There you go. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
And that goes right past the end of the runway. A lot of people go down there and park. They just to watch the jets take off. And it's actually a beautiful area. But this is one of those things where we'll give you as much information as we can, but there's precious little of it right now.
Very much so.
Well, we don't know how much gas this person started with, but what we can tell you is it originated in South LA. This person took a drive on Century, went underneath the 110, then closer to the airport. We found him, he or she, on Manchester, and now on Pershing going southbound. So again, we're heading right there towards the airport.
Not running into much traffic right now.
Not at all.
And this person has the opportunity to pick up speed, but clearly has maintained this low rate of speed.
And now we're just seeing him drift in each lane, left and right, not quite sure.
Well, or doing something in the car, like talking on a phone, or
perhaps,
you know.
Yeah.
Haven't seen anything.
Down.
A lot of times you'll see them throw something, whatever might be incriminating, out of the window. In this case, if there was a weapon used, that would be a good choice. The windows have been rolled up. It doesn't look like there hasn't been any hands out of the window.
And usually if Chopper gets a closer look, we can see inside and almost count the heads in there, but they're tinted windows. It's really tough with this particular pursuit. We can't see anything.
And there you see the threshold of the runway as it goes past. None of this, by the way, is going to affect traffic at this point going in or out of LAX.
Not at all. If this situation continued on Sepulveda, as far as surface streets, or Century once again, we would run into a real issue, but it's going to be restricted airspace again here in a little bit.
You know, just to kind of put this, I don't know if we really say context, because these things are all so different that there really isn't much of a context, but he's coming up right near Dockweiler State Beach. We once had a pursuit where the driver took officers all the way to a beach, got out of the car, didn't know where to run, ran down the sand and into the water, into the ocean.
Why am I not surprised?
And they had to go in and get the guy out of the ocean. So that gives you an idea of just how unplanned and frankly how dumb these things can be.
These criminals are.
Yeah.
Is that's World Way?
Yeah, that's the one that cuts up into the airport.
Now, guys, we can't tell you, CHP often tells us, and local PD as well, the size of the vehicle comes into play. This is an SUV, but those squad cars are designed for pursuits, for knocking big cars out of the way, off the freeway, trying to get the situation under control, and they're specifically designed for pit maneuvers. So we've seen box trucks be stolen, and they send cops on wild pursuits, and they do the pit maneuvers with those box trucks as well. So they're designed to handle any kind of situation. Well,
and this by no means is second guessing, whoever the incident commander is on this, but if they were going to do something, if they were going to intervene, this is the place to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's almost no traffic. It's a remote area. There are no homes around. There are no businesses around. So, but once again, the problem is that officers don't want to do something that puts them in danger. If you spin that car around, you spin the driver directly into your face. And that's not something, when you don't know if he's armed or not, that's not something you want to do.
Again,
but if there was a way to, you know, I mean, this is
there's a way to stop him because
strip area.
The speed is so, he's going so slowly.
Almost too slow, as Stephanie pointed out, for the pit maneuver. You have to have a little inertia in order to spin the car around.
You almost wonder if he or she is going to come to a stop soon.
Yeah.
They're going, so this is a slow speed pursuit. That's definitely what we're seeing right now.
Well, you know, Sharon mentioned, you know, there's no telling how much gas they have, or Stephanie, maybe you did. I'll tell you what, at this speed,
it could go for hours.
Go for hours.
Yes, it could go for hours.
Well, the one thing about that is this person, it's inevitable, they will run out of fuel, but CHP won't. There's always a new squad car to back up the other one. So
does it look like a PT Cruiser to you?
It does. It doesn't look like an SUV.
Yeah.
All right, just
going toward the beach.
Yep. Just turn right on Imperial Highway.
Yeah,
going to the beach.
Hey, maybe he or she will get out and run into the water.
Maybe they will.
Well, they have Vista Del Mar up ahead of them, and that is the only street left.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, this person will be running out of road.
This may come to an end very soon.
Okay, let's see what this person does.
But the police haven't switched their strategy at all.
No.
They haven't gotten any closer. They haven't gotten any further back since this started in South LA.
That's Vista Del Mar right there on your
Look, you can
just
see
ahead.
Everybody
can see the sand right there.
All right. Point of decision.
Yeah, and the parking lot's right there. Hopefully, this person will drive into the parking lot and
Makes
give
a
up.
right. Nope.
Making a right.
Nope. Making a U of left.
Okay, so what's this is Vista?
So south on Vista Del Mar. So we're heading into or towards El Segundo right now.
Now now we're moving into areas where there are homes, and although this person hasn't shown any inclination to be violent, you know, it's a different situation. Also, by the way, when we talk about the reason we bring up all these different law enforcement agencies, other than just to tell you who's involved, they all have slightly different manuals when it comes to how they do this. The CHP, for example, has a different standard operating procedure than the LAPD. In fact, back when Bill Bratton was chief of police with LAPD, he changed the LAPD's policy on pursuits. He just didn't want to see his officers pursue cars unless somebody was in danger. Now that's changed back, and we see it happening. And obviously, you can see what the sheriff's department is doing here. They're being very patient. They're not provoking him. This guy is just spending a lot of taxpayer money right now.
In case you're just joining us, let me just recap. Let's just recap what's happening here. We have a pursuit that's in progress. LA County Sheriff's Department in pursuit.
Sheriff's Department.
This driver is wanted for a carjacking that took place, I believe, in Southgate. He's been driving very slowly through this on surface streets around the airport and now along the beach. You can see a number of units following very closely behind. It'll be interesting to see what this person does next.
This person hasn't been taunting police
at all
the whole time since we've picked up
Clearly this person is lost.
Well, you know, and also when you do kind of if you will, post-mortem is the wrong word when you're dealing with something like this, but when you do a review of these, officers have told me that very often the driver says, look, you know what, I've been in jail twice. I know I'm going back to jail. I just figured, why not just keep driving? And I mean, I'm not being glib about this. Very often they just say, hey, what do I have to lose? I know I'm going to jail. I might as well enjoy the drive. There are so many different scenarios, so many different reasons. They're usually much simpler than all of us, you know, come up with.
Something's obviously going on in their life. We saw, Jeff, it's interesting that you brought that up. We saw one pursuit happen in the evening in Covina. This person came to a stop, stayed in the car for an additional 45 minutes, smoked a cigarette, knew he was going to jail.
I remember
and then he's like,
one.
Okay, let me finish this cigarette. And then
it's going to be the last cigarette he'll have for a while.
Yeah, well, they don't put up with that. It depends what police department is in pursuit, because sometimes they don't allow that behavior and they'll send the canines out or they'll shoot the beanbag gun and blow out a window or two and get that process moving. But other times, other times they
it is confirmed that it is a man driving. This is the first time we've seen him actually pick up speed. Now actually going the speed limit, maybe even a little more.
Yeah. Hey, Steph,
and
what's
crossing over the center line.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, there's
Starting to get a little
changing.
becoming a little bit more brazen.
And we want to welcome our CBS viewers for just about a minute or so to bring you up to date on a pursuit that we've been following on KCAL 9. This is a pursuit that is down by the airport, down by El Segundo, Playa del Rey. And this guy has just started speeding up after police have been pursuing him at about 20 miles per hour. And our producer caught, I didn't see it, but that a unit went past him. That's highly unusual, but may have gone past him, if that's true, to look inside.
Right.
See what they're dealing with.
Good point. This person is indeed picking up some speed there. For much of this pursuit, he's been going pretty slowly. And look, it looks like that window, his driver's side window was cracked open a bit for a short, really quick second there. And then he rolled it back up.
Okay, so this person was crossing Grand, the Chevron refinery, not too far away. Pretty much open space, though. You're not going to see any traffic in this direction.
A little tighter shot there.
Yeah.
And we're going to leave our CBS 2 viewers for just a minute.
Okay. He seems to be slowing down.
Yeah, this is...
Hey, Steph, what are his options at this time? What's ahead?
If he crossed or went south of Grand Avenue, there's not much until you reach Rosecrans, and then we're getting ourselves into the South Bay. You hit Manhattan Beach, you go into Hermosa, Redondo, and thereon. So once we cross over Rosecrans, we will start to see some activity at the beach area, because that's where there's a lot of cafes. That's where people walk their dogs.
And it's a beautiful day out today, too, so a lot of people may head to the beach to go rollerblading, if they still rollerblade.
Exactly.
Or bicycling.
It's also very congested there.
And people have so many different schedules, so you think it's a typical workday, there's not many people out. And not the case in the South Bay. There are always people out. And, of course, people on vacation here, that's where they go.
And the streets get smaller, too. They become very, just very community, very much smaller, a lot more traffic. You see cars parked alongside of the road. It goes to one lane. Just a very congested area.
And we welcome back our CBS 2 viewers to a pursuit that has been going on for the better part of an hour now, that we are continually covering on KCAL 9. Manhattan Beach. Well, you said Manhattan Beach, and that's where apparently we're just about there. And as Sharon pointed out, the streets are very narrow there. There's a lot of traffic there, and when you get into traffic, sometimes you're just stuck. You can't go anywhere.
We just passed a unit that was camped out in the corner there. Oh, okay. That was a Manhattan Beach police officer.
Yeah, that's a great example of the Sheriff's Department working really well with all the other agencies, because this guy's gone through about, 5 different, jurisdictions or cities.
So this person just crossed over Rosecrans. So now, again, we are in Manhattan Beach. This turns into Highland Avenue. Vista Del Mar turns into Highland Avenue. People use that as an alternate for Sepulveda. So if this were an evening commute, we would be slammed. But right now, you're not going to see much traffic in that direction. But you will see a lot of people walking. You can see somebody. Oh, it looks like they just tried to pull out the spike strip on the side there. Wow. Did you see that, officer?
Those...
Yep, they're starting to get more aggressive.
We're just going to tell everybody on CBS we're going to leave you now, but we will be back at different times during the morning to keep you up to date on this pursuit, and we will continue on KCAL 9. Okay, so you were saying Highland Avenue. This is a shopping area. This is, $2, $3, $4 million homes dotting every postage stamp plot of land down there.
The reason why police get a little more aggressive now, or we're seeing them get more aggressive with the spiked strip, because the streets are narrow. This is where you have a lot of pedestrian activity, and there are so many stoplights. We're going to hit in just a little bit here Manhattan Beach Boulevard. That's where it's going to get really sticky. And there's so many cars trying to park. Parking in Manhattan Beach is so difficult in and of itself. So you can see, so people are going to be driving slowly by this person trying to find parking as well, unaware that there's a pursuit going on.
You know, though, Stephanie, This is
That's Manhattan Beach Boulevard, by the way.
That's Manhattan Beach Boulevard.
Yep.
We talk about the congestion down there. I don't know if this is the PD who have blocked off the street very well, or if it's just not a very busy day right now in Manhattan Beach. Because look, there really is no traffic.
Yes, you wonder if they're talking to each other up ahead and trying to keep that side of the road clear. But you can see people stopped on the opposite side.
Well, that's true.
Mm-hmm. I'm not even seeing anyone walking along the boulevard.
No.
And normally
Which is very interesting.
Yeah, because normally you see a bunch of people and sitting outside of the cafes.
The Kettle, that big restaurant, people are there. It's open 24 hours. People are there at all hours, and this is right by that area. So it's very surprising that you don't see even families driving there. There's another spike strip.
Welcome to CBS 2 News. You are watching breaking news, a pursuit happening in the Manhattan Beach area. This pursuit started about an hour ago. The police are chasing after what is a carjacking suspect for pretty much a slow-speed pursuit through much of the hour.
Yeah, so here's what happens. The guy carjacks someone in Southgate, steals the car from a person. We don't know if a weapon was used. And in a case like that, you would think, going to speed away. But no, has not tried to get away. He has gone either at the speed limit or below it, accelerating a couple of times, but only a couple of times. Now he looks like he's on a run. There you go.
There we go.
Oh, there was a spike strip right there.
He went
Did
around
it
the
pop
spikes. No, he went around the spikes.
He went around it? Okay.
And you can see it. It looks like a snake on the ground. The spikes come up when the officer holding the control hits the button, the spikes come up, then they go back down.
This guy does not have many options. The streets are very narrow. There's a lot of cars parked. What street are we on now?
Well, this person just turned off of Highland just a minute ago, so this is the second turn off of Highland. We need to zoom in on a street sign if we can here. This is a residential area, though. You can see all the homes, multi-million-dollar homes right there, right by the beach.
Now left. Probably right.
No, we see. Okay.
Maybe Ardmore, because the chip trail is right off in the distance, the running trail there.
Right.
That splits the thoroughfare at Ardmore.
They're on your right. See him throw the spike strip out there? He may have, he ran over it, but the question is whether the officer was able to deploy the spikes in time.
People are so lucky. This person's lucky that there aren't many more pedestrians, because that chip trail off to the left there, everyone uses that.
Yeah, especially on a beautiful day like today, you would imagine that there are plenty of people out there and about running.
All right, are we heading back north now? Did he make a loop, or are we still heading south?
It's really unclear at this point, because he made two quick turns, and we didn't get cross streets.
Yeah.
Sometimes when they're turning erratically.
I want to see. It looks like that front right passenger tire.
Yeah.
Yep,
looks
that does
flat.
look like
and both of them.
Guys, I think he's on. I know this area very well. I'd be surprised if this wasn't Ardmore, because there's some quirky intersections, and it looks like we're zoomed in. We're zoomed in pretty far, but or close, I should say. But that looked like a wonky intersection there, and that's right there, as I was saying. Usually on Ardmore.
Ardmore running parallel to Manhattan Avenue?
No, it's perpendicular.
Oh.
There you go. Okay, there you see that unit zooming past him.
So, Stephanie, that's that greenbelt area.
Yes.
In the center there.
Yes.
That's what you were talking about.
Yes.
All right.
Exactly.
So we see two tires.
It's what they call the chip trail.
We see two tires deflated, and that's what we can see. We don't know what's happening on the other side of the car. We don't know whether the driver's side wheel is deflated as well.
Okay, turning again.
Okay.
And you can see the trail on both sides of that street. Now, if they could just zoom in on that.
So we're down at Valley now?
Wow, this is a tight squeeze.
Well, and very difficult to make turns. So now he's heading south on Valley, we're told.
South on Valley?
Oh, we see the left, it looks like the driver's side wheel is deflated as well.
So he was on Ardmore a second ago at Duncan. And then
so
now
are we still in Manhattan Beach, or are we down in
well, Manhattan Beach borders and Hermosa Beach
Yeah.
are so close together. You throw a stone and you're in Hermosa. So it's right there splitting the beaches.
All righty.
Wow. Okay.
Just a few minutes
Yeah.
ago, this person hit that spike strip. So again, the tire's deflating.
All right, in case you're just in case you're just joining us, you're watching a pursuit that's in progress. It's been in progress for some 45 minutes or so, which it started in Southgate. This is a carjacking suspect, and police have been following very closely behind all over along the streets around the Southland.
And here's the spike strip, and we slowed it down for you so you can see in the upper right how it went out just a second before he hit it. And that's, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Sharon, I'm sorry. That's also a tactic. You don't put it out too soon because that gives the driver time to see it.
Right.
So you throw it out just as he arrives. Officers normally kind of hide behind something so the driver can't see them. And in this case, it was effective.
Hey, do you know which direction on Valley they're going?
So we're going south on Valley, down into Hermosa Beach. And there you see it again.
Was that the second spike strip that they've thrown out?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first one was by the beach, I believe.
Really starting to slow his roll there.
Yeah, I don't think he can go very far on those deflated tires.
It is so
Oh, there we
surprising.
go. He's rolled down the window.
He's going to go by a
Hands
high.
out.
I wonder if he's gone past Hermosa Valley High.
He's sticking his hand out. I don't
Oh,
what
there you
he's
go.
trying to do.
Okay.
I don't know whether he's waving it at police
That is a
officers, but he probably had to get some fresh air.
Or taunting the police
Well,
Or
now.
taunting them, exactly.
Yeah, you know, if you look at just at the body language alone, he's got a very relaxed arm. This doesn't appear to be signs of somebody who is panicking or is
Nope.
who is too worried.
Well, he's just exhausted,
There's that.
you know,
And
from
you know,
running.
it's mental exhaustion. Not that we're trying to be empathetic for a guy who allegedly carjacked somebody, but it is mentally exhausting to have those officers behind you, to hear the helicopter above you, which is circling just at about 300 feet off the deck, and you hear those rotors whooping, and it's, yeah, it gets to you, and that's actually works in officers' favor.
And we still can't see in. It has not been confirmed if he's by himself. Sometimes there is just a driver, and then all of a sudden a dog pops out of the back.
Right, someone in the back. But we haven't seen anyone because the windows are so tinted.
No, it appears he's by himself. But if he does come to a stop, what will happen is they'll take the guy into custody, but then another group of officers will come in, pop the trunk, search for weapons or anything else that might be of note there in the car, and then they will clear the scene.
Yeah.
They have to search that vehicle as well.
Wearing a blue T-shirt,
Hasn't thrown
one
anything
hand
out.
on the wheel, nothing's been thrown out of the car.
Not sure whether he's armed.
We're heading through
well, if he-
Hermosa, heading
Yeah.
towards Hermosa, and then of
Oh,
course.
we're not down there yet?
Well, I think we are actually. It's hard to see those cross streets.
Yeah, coming maybe like Pier Avenue.
Right, Valley's a very long street.
Yeah. But one thing is, when you say we don't know if he's armed or not, the one thing that this has really helped police with, when he opened the window, they can now see both of his hands. And that means, yeah, there may be a weapon in the car, but they do know he isn't holding
He's not
it.
holding it, right.
It just gives them a
crossed an
lot more
intersection
information. And also when you talk about the fatigue of the driver, you know, he's on his own. Officers behind them, behind these pursuits, they switch out. So the sergeant will say, okay, you pull off. We're going to bring somebody fresh in there because they want to make sure their officers are fresh as well. And they do that, you know, it could be every 15 minutes, could be every 30 minutes, but they don't want officers to kind of get into a, you know, kind of a vision lock. So nothing in this guy's favor.
Oh, he's picked up
You know.
speed.
Yeah, he can't
Well,
go.
he's going fast, slow, and right now it looks like he picked up a little bit
There's
of
the
speed.
school
right
bus.
there, and
I
there's
was
the
talking
school
about
bus.
that
The
school.
school is on the right-hand side right there,
And
on
you can
top,
see
above your screen.
Yep, inching closer because they don't mess around when they're by schools. That's when their strategy starts to get a little more
they
aggressive.
back off. Exactly. It makes sense.
All right, we've lost a visual there.
Pulling back in Hermosa, I don't know if it's possible our helicopter was told to move for air traffic reasons, or if maybe the helicopter has to leave for fuel.
For fuel.
stay away from this area, because whether on his own accord or by police provocation, now this guy is upset. And he's a lot more inclined
now he's on PCH.
to do something that could put other people in danger.
Okay, he's on PCH now.
Do we know if he's going south? Like south near Torrance Boulevard, probably?
Okay.
Or he's past Torrance Boulevard. He's at a higher clip than he has been all morning. We're now about an hour and 15 minutes into this pursuit. We were talking earlier, let's hold. Yeah, can we hold off on that for just a minute, only because I don't think if we know we want to. All right, we are showing the first pit. So there you see what happened just moments ago.
And do we know what intersection that was?
No,
and
I
then
don't.
a few seconds later, they do another pit maneuver.
And we also, I know we're giving our assignment desk a lot to do, but if we can find out which police department is doing this.
There you go.
There you go, another pit attempt. And if you were with us earlier, I was saying that different police departments have different.
Oh, there you go.
Right
by that what looks like an apartment complex.
You wonder if he hit a parked car.
Now the car goes. See, now that black and white goes behind him. One officer out.
Guns drawn.
Guns drawn. They want to make sure they're not in each other's line of fire. If you're wondering, we're going to get around that side of the house as soon as we can.
There.
All right, you see officers still have their guns drawn.
He's not out of the car yet.
It doesn't appear he is. The car is wedged between a police unit and the curb.
Luckily, there wasn't a car parked there or someone walking by.
This is the last pit maneuver.
Yeah,
that brought him to a standstill right there at the curb there. You see a number of officers have their guns drawn.
You have both local police
demanding
as well as
that he get out of the
sheriff's
car.
deputies.
He's still refusing to get out of the car.
Yeah.
Now, as we mentioned earlier, sometimes they bring the canines out. Sometimes they'll pull out the beanbag gun and pop that windshield. But the guns are drawn, and it looks like they're just waiting him out right now. Yeah.
In order to get a dog in there, you're right, Stephanie. They have to break one of the windows. And as much as people never want to see a dog injured, that is a lot safer than potentially injuring one of those officers. They've trained for this, and their weapons are drawn, and yet none of those officers out there have any desire to have this end any way other than peacefully. But as I said, you saw a very different tactic from this police department, and we need to find out if it's Redondo Beach Police, than we saw from the Sheriff's Department. Sheriff's Department content to let him drive. The local police department.
It looks like they're bringing out.
Became much more aggressive.
Gear here.
Yeah. Looks like a beanbag gun.
Well, that's a 12-gauge shotgun that holds beanbag rounds inside the 12-gauge shells. It's kind of a coin toss whether that round will take out a window or not. But it's part of what they call less lethal force. And I'll tell you, I mean, I've seen people get hit by those, and it'll definitely put you in the cheap seats. It's not a pleasant experience. But once again, less lethal. We can't hear them, but at this point, they're giving him verbal commands. They're yelling at him to get out of the car. They don't want him to get out all at once, though. What they want him to do is put the window down, show his hands. It's important. The hands are the most important part of a suspect. Show his hands, open the door from the outside handle, and then get out. That's what they want.
Earlier, when he was in Hermosa Beach, we saw him almost joyriding with one hand out the window. So he did have it rolled down for a while, and now it appears he rolled it back up. He's going to do whatever he wants. And of course, that car is blacked out.
Yeah,
the back seats are.
Yeah, if you ever wonder why police pull you over for tinted windows, that's the reason.
Exactly.
Now, here's another problem that police officers have. They've made sure that they are not in the line of each other's fire, but it appears that they are training their guns toward a residential area, toward homes. I could be wrong about that, but you see that median where the tree is. So they have to be very, very careful about that. and you're looking at your upper right screen, this is where the first pit maneuver did not work. Well, it worked, but they didn't get a unit behind the guy, so as you see, he speeds in reverse, 2 good tires, and then we think it's going to be over again, right about here where he spins his car around, but he's headed right toward a truck. We thought it was going to be over then. But no, he puts it back in reverse, doesn't hit the officer's car, and takes off. And that's really where it all accelerated. That's when officers knew they had to stop this guy. And in your lower left, you see they have, and now another standoff. Not wanting to shoot a suspect who may not be armed, not wanting to put other people in danger if they do use their firearms, and certainly, but not wanting him to get away either.
There you see it.
Remember, they have a lot more information than we do. They know how the car was carjacked. They know whether a weapon was used.
And right now, they
That's
know,
the crash right there. That was the final crash you just saw.
and right now, they know how combative he could be.
Yeah, those are homes.
Sharon and Jeff, we've just learned the exact location where this person stopped, where this pursuit has ended. Palos Verde Boulevard and PCH. Just to give local
So, Steph, if you can take a
watching.
look there, those look like homes right there.
Right, and right at Ruby, there are a lot of restaurants, which is close by, but this is a residential area right here.
Oh, such a dangerous situation. If you live in this area, folks, and you're hearing this go down, please do not leave your homes and just stay put until this is all over with. And hopefully it's over with soon. But right now, they've got the suspect. They're pointing guns at him. He's in the car. He refuses to get out. Until he comes out, it's not safe to go anywhere, to come out of your homes.
No. More officers arriving at the scene. They've blocked off this section of PCH. And Stephanie, you said Ruby was the closest main intersection?
Well, it's not a main intersection, just to give people an idea of what's around there if you're not familiar with Redondo Beach. So Palos Verde Boulevard is a decent thoroughfare through there, but the fact that it's on PCH is a big deal. But we haven't seen anybody walk in this area, so hopefully a lot of people already out for their day.
Yeah.
It is Ash Wednesday. Maybe people have already gone to attend Mass.
It's also a beautiful day outside, so I'm surprised that not more people are walking around out there.
Now, if you see officers, if you see a weapon fired, that doesn't necessarily mean they're not going to shoot the guy unprovoked. It doesn't necessarily mean they're shooting at him. They could be using a tear gas round that would also break the glass, and that would be very effective. Because at one time, and because it's startling, it can breach the window, it can fill the car with gas, and it gets him out. But the question is, do they have that? Because not all black and whites, and certainly in smaller police departments, not all of them have tear gas, or CS, if you will. A standoff with more guns than we can count.
You see that guy back there, the officer with the shoulder strap? You're saying that could be a high-powered rifle with beanbags?
No, it's a shotgun.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a shotgun, and it's loaded not with shot, but likely with a less lethal round, a beanbag. And those beanbags are they're just about 1.5 inches square. They're not big, and they're loaded with lead inside and then stitched all the way around. They're square, and they come out rolled up. And then, obviously, with the force of a 12-gauge shotgun, by the time they hit you or hit their object, they're flattened out, and they'll knock you right over. You see some other weapons that are trained on that car, and some of those do contain live rounds. The officer you see standing, who is not up the top of your screen, who does not have his weapon out, could be in charge of the scene. I can't
and negotiating with him. It almost looks like he's talking to him, but we're not. It's hard to tell from this point of view.
When you think about it, I mean, obviously well, I shouldn't say obviously. You don't know if the person inside wants to be shot or not. Many times, they'll provoke officers because they don't want to kill themselves. But on the other hand, the guy during this whole chase was content to go 20 miles an hour just for the sake of not being handcuffed. He may just sit there. And this is going to be a situation where someone with a lot more authority than those street officers is going to make the decision, okay, let's get him out. And then the question is, what method will they use? They're probably waiting for either the right weapon to arrive, like a tear gas round, or they're waiting for a canine to arrive. And once they have their plan, then you're going to see something happen. But it will almost certainly not be a police officer who approaches that car with the windows up. You just don't walk into something you can't see.
Okay.
If you're just joining us, it's 9:46. Jeff Michael along with Sharon Tay inside the CBS 2 KCAL 9 studios. We've been following a pursuit that began in Southgate. It's a pursuit of a carjacking suspect. As you take a look at people who are just standing by looking at what's going on.
Yeah, and you see the police officer waving them away, waving at the other officers to turn the traffic around and move the other way until it's safe to come out. It is a very, what appears to be quite a tense situation there. This pursuit started in the Southgate area. This is a carjacking suspect, and he's been taking police on a very slow rate of speed. A pursuit that has been going along the South Bay for about, I would say, about an hour and a half. Wouldn't you say? About an hour and a half.
Yeah, the whole thing's been about an hour and a half, yeah. Boy, this is, as Sharon said, appears to be tense. This is very tense. This is, I mean, these officers, you know, training their weapons now for the better part of 10 minutes, looking for anything they can see. If this lasts a long time, another possible tactic would be to have the Sheriff's Department, their SEB unit, a Special Enforcement Bureau, to have them come in. They have a robot that can go up to the window, and they train for this type of thing all the time. It's a full-time SWAT team, and because you don't want anybody to get hurt. But at this point, whatever their tactic is, whatever the plan is, it has not been put into motion.
Jeff and Sharon, I'm back with you. And if this individual is in his car, of course, this is a residential area, as we've been telling people. Guns are drawn. It's a dangerous situation for people walking by. They're trying to keep people off of the sidewalk, but less dangerous of an environment if this person fled on foot. No,
that's true. Yeah, if the guy makes a run for it, they're going to stop it, because they can't afford to, and then they'll use hopefully less lethal, but they're going to stop it.
Yeah, and we still don't know if he's the only person in the car.
Yes,
no,
but we don't know that because the back windows are tinted, so and they're rolled up. So it's hard to say. I mean, who knows? Maybe there's a dog in the car, and God forbid there's a child in the car.
Police officers obviously waiting it out, waiting for their superiors to give the call on what they're going to do. They see that guy waving, one of the officers up there, he's waving somebody off. He's waving people who live in that area off, saying, you know, get the heck out of here. You're in my line of fire. Please, get away. Here you see an overlay map, shows you where we are.
Yeah, and it's Palos Verdes was...
And you can see all the homes around there.
It's Palos Verdes Boulevard at Pacific Coast Highway. So if you can see...
directly at 12 o'clock on your screen, people.
Exactly.
It's up there, right by the one and the Palos Verdes Boulevard label right there. And just southeast of the one, and you see the red roofs right there, the four buildings lined up there.
That appears to be where we are.
That is reportedly where we are.
In talking about the way this pursuit went, as far as how it ended, it was a relatively calm pursuit in nature, and then we saw officers sort of switch their strategy once they got into the South Bay in Hermosa Beach. They sort of slackened their take on how they were following this individual and sort of gave him some breathing room for whatever reason, and you never know until they tell us after the fact why they turn a pursuit into just a following.
Well, you change your tactics. When one doesn't work, you try something else.
And there we see the pit maneuver again. one of a few. I think they did about three or four. Yeah.
Yeah, they tried it a few times.
And he picked up speed.
Once again, if we can, and I know I keep asking, if we can get the correct law enforcement agency here, we don't want to misidentify which department and which officers are putting themselves at risk with their weapons out as they are. Okay, we're being told it's Manhattan Beach Police Department.
You can see the driver in reverse.
Yeah.
At a very high rate of speed.
And you also saw the black and white moving away from the driver in reverse because, you know, it makes no sense for him to get hit.
You have to wonder what that guy's doing inside the car.
Yeah. You know, I mean, does he have a cell phone? Is he talking to anybody? Is he, you know, trying to... I mean, he could just be waiting it out. Stephanie, you mentioned probably about a half hour, 40 minutes ago, the one time we saw a guy just sit in a car, smoke a cigarette, and say, yeah, I'll get out when I'm done.
Oh, yeah, he knew his fate. He's like, well, I'm not going home tonight. I'm going to go to jail with the police, so I'm just going to finish my cigarette.
This guy
They're
is
expensive.
Probably thinking the same thing. He's just sitting there. It's a game of chicken. Who's gonna act first? And
you know, Sharon, this reminds me, I think it was you and Juan was in the morning when we had that pursuit that went from LA County into San Diego County. And what we couldn't figure out, it was a very interesting ending. It ended up being a female driver, but the police, it came to a stop just like this, but in that particular situation, they ran up right to the driver's side door and pulled the woman out. And that was the first time I had ever seen an end of a pursuit like that. So what we were talking about after the fact is perhaps police knew something we didn't, that they knew that that person driving did not have a weapon. They were not a threat. Perhaps maybe one of their relatives or a friend called the police and said, hey, this person's just been drinking, or they left from a family, you know, situation. They were upset. Maybe they knew something. So the fact that they aren't approaching the driver's side door this time, maybe they don't know what's inside the car.
I want to make a correction. I'm just being told by our producer that this is Redondo Beach Police Department.
Okay.
I know we're in Redondo Beach, but very often, you know, this guy's gone through so many towns and jurisdictions that you didn't know. So Redondo Beach Police, I saw a couple of sheriff's deputies there as well. There was a motor officer who came up. There's also a pickup truck outside to the right of your frame with the guy there. He is either probably an off-duty police officer or could have been working undercover. When something like this happens, everybody on the police department knows about it. Any unit within, you know, drivable distance that can get there that isn't, you know, doing something else crucial is going to come to support this because this is a life and death situation.
And a all hands on deck situation. I'm just surprised the K-9 units haven't been called out on this yet.
Well, we don't, I mean, or at least haven't been used yet. They may have a dog back there somewhere, but the decision hasn't been made to use the dog. And once again, the dog can't be used unless they bust out a window. And even then, you don't want to injure the animal with glass that may cut the animal on the way in. But I've seen them train. I've seen K-9 units train, and those dogs, those Malamutes and German Shepherds, can get in, I mean, just in one quick leap through an open window. They have no problem doing that.
And then, of course, we don't have audio of what the officers are saying, but are they constantly saying things to this person, or are they just, they said what they needed to say and they're just simply waiting it out at this point?
I'm sure there's some sort of negotiation going on.
Yeah, but usually there's one designated person who's going to do that. And if it's just patrol cars and patrol officers, they'll just select one officer to do that. If they're making any use, and look at all the black and whites there.
14 I just counted, and then one motorcycle.
If they're making any use of the sheriff's department, they have a full-time hostage negotiator who is the person that would be brought in to do the talking. Because remember, they want him to come out peacefully. They don't want this to end violently, and talking is the way to make that happen.
Yeah. They have set up a perimeter there. You see the caution tape to the top part of your screen, although you can't see it now, but right where the that median is right there. They've set up a caution tape. You see a number of people standing on the corner there watching what's going on. If you live in this area, Palos Verde Boulevard and PCH, it would be a good idea to stay indoors until this is over.
If they have the extra manpower What they'll also do is go around the backside of those buildings, and they'll deploy officers to go and tell everybody, please stay in your homes. Because obviously their safety is of utmost concern. I haven't seen that happen, but that is what they would do if they can. Widening out, you see all those people over there.
Yeah.
Wondering, coming out of where is that? Rock and Brew, something like that.
Is it a restaurant? It's probably
yeah. They have concerts there as well.
Yeah.
Fairly new.
So this area of Redondo Beach is going to be pretty much paralyzed for as long as this lasts, and even after it's over, because there's going to be a good long investigation, and hopefully not a shooting. But it is definitely an area to stay away from right now. In a case like this, I would imagine the Redondo Beach police chief would be the one, if he is in today, would be the one making the decision on what to do. I'm sure they're also consulting with the Sheriff's Department, with the Special Enforcement Bureau, because they have a little bit more experience on how to handle this. But waiting it out without doing anything is likely not going to produce a result.
Yes, this has been a painful pursuit, to say the least. This started about, 8:15, 8 o'clock, 8:15, the Southgate area. This guy was wanted for carjacking a car. We believe it's that car, that SUV there. A number of units were called out. He drove them through many cities, through the South Bay, at a very, very slow rate of speed, maybe no more than 15, 20 miles an hour, I'd say. And so here we are.
It becomes a question of how long will they wait? How long will they wait if this guy doesn't change his demeanor in any way?
Well, it's the chief's call, and at some point they're going to say, look, these people who live here have a right to come and go from their homes. They have a right to drive on public roads. We're not going to keep this blocked off forever. So there will be some sort of intervention. As this guy too pulls away, shows how much of an area has been blocked off.
The interest in public safety is first and foremost, as you were saying, Jeff. But we wonder if they're telling people to stay away from the sidewalks as well. If people have to get to their cars, I don't see any parts on that.
I don't think they're going to be going anywhere. I think they're being told to stay inside. It's just too dangerous of a situation that's unfolding right in front of their apartments or their homes.
This hasn't been a particularly aggressive pursuit, but we did see the squad cars change their strategy as soon as we got into Manhattan Beach, right when we crossed Manhattan Beach Boulevard, when there's a lot of pedestrian traffic, people out walking their animals and going out for coffee and such, and they knew exactly when things were going to start to get really busy as far as foot traffic.
I'm trying to get into to the city of Redondo Beach's website to get some information, and I have a feeling I'm not alone, because this website is not responding. I think it's getting an awful lot of attention. Both Redondo Beach and Hermosa Beach have put alerts out on social media, which I'm sure our social media people can take a look at, telling everybody to stay away, telling everyone that there's a pursuit. It's actually for once a really good tool to alert people.
This person looking at a number of charges right now. Staying put is better than fleeing, but you wonder if he's going to be charged with something else the longer he stays in that car.
Yeah, and he could, for all we know, he could be a third striker. That's the reason why he refuses to give up.
Yeah, well, the third strike law has been amended, so it's not an automatic life sentence anymore. But it certainly is going to land you in jail a lot longer than
I don't think he wants to go back to jail.
Well, look, there's no doubt this guy's not a first-timer at this. I mean, he may be a first-timer in this particular lockdown, but he carjacked somebody, according to police, and chose not to pull over, and chose to put a lot of other people in danger. So, any way you want to look at it, not a nice guy, not a guy who police, can assume anything about, if you will.
You wonder if they're holding off and doing this kind of a strategy because they don't know if someone else is in the car.
That's possible.
That's true.
But if you break the windshield, well, yeah, that's true.
You can't.
If you break out the windshield, you can see that, but you would also put at risk, you know, having the person inside do something that he otherwise wouldn't do. You know, I would think if there was someone in there, and certainly someone in there against their will, we probably would have seen that by now. As we zoom in there, just taking a look at how dark those windows are. And frankly, even from our helicopter 1,500 feet in the air, those officers can't see through that glass any better than you can at home. They don't know if he has. There's the tweet we were talking about, right?
Pacific Coast Highway, Palos Verdes Boulevard, telling people to avoid the area.
The officers have not relaxed their stance in the last 15 minutes.
They will remain.
They have been holding position like mannequins.
They will remain that way until this comes to an end.
That's true.
Well, in case
Redondo Beach police in a standoff with a carjacking suspect. They have officers not surrounding him, but they're within about a 30-degree arc. They are not going to get much past that because if shots are fired, they want to make sure that they're not in each other's line of fire. And either on scene or back at the Redondo Beach police station, which is not far away, the chief of police is likely making a decision on what to do next. And if not the chief, the assistant chief, and on down it goes. And as Stephanie pointed out, they're not changing their positions. It's possible the guy on the trunk, see where he has his arms rested on the trunk. I doubt that he has it. No, he may have a scope. I'm looking at a larger monitor. If he does have a scope, he could actually maybe see in there a little bit better.
Yeah. All right, we have video of what happened earlier, and you can see the police officers there trying to do a couple of pit maneuvers on this driver, on this car. Took them a while before they got him to stop, wedged up against that sidewalk or the curb there and the tree in front of those homes. But it took like maybe I would say 2 to 3 times, about 3 times, before they actually got this guy to stop.
And there you're looking at the last time before spinning his car around and facing the right into a truck, which he didn't know was going to be there.
We still don't know who that truck.
Interesting to know why the truck was there.
Yeah,
really,
we just don't know who it belongs to.
That
Whether it was just
part,
a civilian or it was an off-duty police officers.
Well, there is a pickup truck at the standoff in the lower left of your screen. It's just off to the right-hand side, so it could be the same. Either off-duty. See that pickup? Well, you can't really see it. But you see the grill there. Yeah, so maybe it was an officer.
Well, Jeff, speaking of the grills, since we do with our live picture, you can get a really good look at the squad cars. We were talking earlier about the squad vehicles being specifically designed to take out those cars and perform those pit maneuvers, and those extra bars are in place to do that kind of job.
Exactly. We are waiting for a development. We are waiting for a decision to be made. The officers who are there are carrying out whatever order they've been given, and is just at this point to contain the suspect. See that one officer at the driver's side door just kind of let go of his it's the second hand on his weapon, shook his arm out. It's no easy task holding your arms up like that and keeping a steady hand. And likely, if this goes on much longer, they may even be changed out with officers who will come in and relieve them.
Wow,
the reason they stand where they do, by the way, obviously this is pretty obvious, but the vehicle acts as protection, especially the engine block. That's why they duck down, because bullets don't do very well penetrating an engine block. Haven't seen any other officers arrive. We have been told, however, I want to let you know that Torrance Police Department is also there assisting Redondo Beach Police. But we haven't heard that the Sheriff's Department has been called. We haven't heard, and if they are, it would be for their SWAT team to come out. Very possible the Chief of Police just says, no, it's all right, we've got it handled. We don't need it. Haven't seen a police dog out there yet?
This is one of the longer standoffs I've seen
Involving
involving a carjacking
Absolutely.
suspect. This is one of the longer ones, yeah.
I was thinking back of the ones we've done over the years, and I think this is the first one I've covered where we weren't confirmed on how many people or animals were in the car when the pursuit actually came to an end.
Yeah,
So this is an interesting one.
This is a long one.
Yeah, well, you know, whoever owned the car, whoever lost their car this morning, probably didn't have a lot of information to tell the police.
True, that could be true.
You know? Well, I mean, and we, you know, I mean, we've seen carjackings happen where there were babies inside, and in almost every case,
This is scary.
that came to a peaceful end. They would definitely know that. And this is not one of those situations. The way they're handling this, the way they performed the pit maneuver, they did that. They would not have done something like that if there was somebody in there against their will.
Well, we're wondering also, because of the recent situation where Officer Keith Boyer lost his life with the Whittier Police Department, since that is so fresh on everyone's mind, wondering if they're just being extra cautious too. You always wonder if that comes into play.
All right.
Okay.
We want to bring in retired SWAT officer Johnny Turner, who joins us on the phone this morning. Mr. Turner, are you with us?
I'm with you.
Okay.
Okay, so if you've been watching, and Johnny, do you mind if I call you Johnny?
Sure.
All right, thanks. So you have been trained in SWAT. I don't know if you want to tell us which department you were with, but what do you make of this?
Well, once those units get on scene, and as I'm watching, it appears that they're in the back, they're going to end up moving those patrol units out of the way and pinning them a little bit closer. So that way they can go ahead and take control of that. The key factor here, based on what I'm seeing, is that those apartments on the, which would be, I guess that would be the west side.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
That backdrop is probably not a good backdrop, so they may need to evacuate the folks that are inside those buildings.
So that could be one of the reasons that they're waiting, that this is lasting as long as it is, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. There's a better position they can put themselves in with those vehicles. When you use the Bearcats, you also have ports along the top so that they can get coverage over the top.
Let me just interpret for everybody when you say Bearcat. A Bearcat is an armored personnel carrier.
Right.
It looks like a little bit, almost like a tank. And we've seen that happen. You're right, Johnny. We've seen that happen before.
Johnny, we had mentioned, we had talked about the possibility of law enforcement bringing in a K-9. Do you think that would be useful in this case?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It just gives you more options. Once they're able to get themselves in a much better position than where they are right now, and they can move they may leave that unit there. Chances are they would probably replace it with the Bearcats. That would put them in a better position, a better tactical position for them, because right now the suspect can look at everybody that's looking at him.
Right.
When you get more of a better position to the rear, it's much more difficult for you to see what's going on.
But the priority here is to make sure the tenants in that building behind are safe and out of harm's way.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's always a key factor.
Hey,
and I would have to think that they're probably from the command post, which should be in a safer location. I'm sure they would just probably back off closer to Redondo Beach Boulevard. I'm sure they're working through that right now.
Got it. Okay.
Well, you said if they bring in a Bearcat, that they would have to get that from the sheriff's department. I don't think they have one.
I'm not exactly. They should have a regional team here. I'm pretty sure Torrance has a SWAT team, and I'm not sure if Redondo and Hermosa, if they're a part of that. Because sometimes when you have smaller agencies, they have more of a regional team where each area location will put in several officers.
Hey, Johnny, how do we know, or how do they know whether there's anyone else in the car, or perhaps any animals in the car, children in the car, or any other adult in the car, since the windows are so blacked out?
Yeah, that's hence the reason why tinted windows are such an issue.
Yep.
So they're really not going to know. I don't know. I mean, I've been involved in things like this, and generally we don't like to get as close. But it's going to be real difficult for them to tell what those windows. Those windows appear to be pretty tinted, and also, they're shade from the trees around there too. So that's making it that much more difficult to see in.
So are they having a conversation with the suspect right now? Do you
every
think
now and then you'll have guys who are up close. May try to verbally make contact, or maybe the guy may be talking back to him, and sometimes just not. It's kind of a 50-50 thing. A lot of times unless negotiators start talking to people on the phone, or they may try to call him or something. Other than that, sure, they're always going to ask you, try to get you to cooperate, but it doesn't appear that this guy intends to do that right now.
Hey, you said you've been in a situation like this before. Kind of put us in the place of those officers with their weapons drawn. What's going through their minds? How difficult is it to keep in that stance?
Oh, it can become rather tiring. And the longer you're out there, certainly the more you have to keep your vigilance going. I think one of the better things, they have a couple of long rifles up close, which is a little easier, and you can get a little better standoff distance. Like I said, this is kind of a rough spot to be in, because you generally don't like to be that close to a vehicle.
Stephanie had brought this up earlier. What about the people who are living in the area? I mean, the streets are closed off. Are they being told to stay put? Basically, they're holed up in their apartments or their homes, right? They can't go anywhere.
Right.
They're not allowed to leave.
Sometimes, depending on certain positions, sometimes it's better to tell people to stay, to stay where they're at, and then try to get them, as far in the deepest corners of their home, and to keep them away, because you can't force people to leave either. That's
true.
No, that's true.
Another issue. Sometimes they refuse, and they just don't want to leave, and there's only you got a certain amount of time to do certain things, so you have to try to impress upon them to keep themselves away from windows and the furthest corners of the residence, and not come out of their houses.
Okay, so we have Torrance, Redondo PD, Torrance PD, Sheriff Department is there. And at this point, you said the command post would be probably around the corner in a safer spot.
Right.
So Johnny, let's real quickly go through if you were a SWAT officer on the scene, what would you think your options would be?
Well, again, the first thing is going to be to replace the guys that are close, that are already up close. As you notice, no one has any helmets or any of extra heavy gear. So that's always going to be the first thing. It's been contained. You're going to get up, replace your vehicle, and put your tactical vehicles in a much better position so that you have better angles. And also, if you need to deploy any type of less lethal type options, tear gas, all of these types of things. So you're going to get yourself in a much better position. And the key thing is to replace those guys who are up close. It's like I said, nobody has helmets, and you got a couple of long rifles and stuff like that, but they're really tight and really close. And at this point, unless you guys have any additional information, I haven't heard anything about whether or not we know if this person had a weapon or not. I know it was carjacking.
Well, I was going to ask you why on the left side of on the driver's side door, and on that side, why there are no units positioning themselves,
because they don't want to be in the other's line of fire.
Yeah, if you did that, you put yourself in a crossfire with the other units.
Johnny, there's another.
It's much better to be able to get that APC up there and kind of change the angles where everybody's at right now.
Again, APC, armored personnel carrier.
Right.
It's for everybody at home.
Right.
There is another option, and because we know this guy doesn't have a TV, I don't think that's going to be an issue. But if they bring in a SWAT team, they could put a long rifle in a place where they can look through the windshield, the front windshield, because that's not tinted, and you could see, right? Especially with a scope.
That wouldn't be a good position. not based the way the vehicle is parked. Yeah, because you would then put yourself more in the crossfire again. You'd have the APC in one direction, then you'd have someone else pointing on the opposite side.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, you wouldn't want to do that. Yeah, you're better off being behind. That's going to be a much better, safer position for the officers. And then also, you can get your K9 units up or your arrest teams up to the rear and put them in a better position to be able to take the suspect in custody.
Johnny, at what point is SWAT called in a situation like this?
Oh, I would have to say that everybody here, you kind of hear that traffic going once you notice you got a long pursuit or something going like that. So generally, unless it's a very large department, you're going to normally have some SWAT guys on duty.
Okay.
And so they will probably, especially local, if they're Torrance guys or parts of like I said, we have multiple agencies. They'll already start heading to the station to get their gear and changing out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's just it's a little bit of a process when you don't have a full-time team like an LAPD or LA Sheriff's Department where they're there all the time. So yeah, but once they do that, they'll immediately, as soon as you get reasonable numbers, then they'll start heading that direction and bring in special equipment.
Johnny, I have to ask you a personal question. What is the longest standoff you've been on?
Oh, we've had some that's gone 15 hours. We had a kidnapping thing that went nearly 20.
Wow. Okay. What about a carjacking standoff? What's the longest?
Nothing really jumps out. Most of them are generally over within a few hours.
Well, let's talk about the advantage then. Let's talk about, is there an advantage to letting this go on and on and on?
Well, you got time on your side. And that's the thing. There's really no reason to be in a super hurry. We want to do this as safe as possible. It also wears down suspects.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
It's much better to take your time, do it right, get your people in and the right personnel on scene to make it as safe as possible. So there's no reason to. Every time you introduce something, then sometimes that can create a counter effect. So as you move forward and you become more aggressive, then that creates a situation for the suspects too. So.
Yeah, but what about...
And they're getting information where this whole thing started. I noticed, I think it started in Southgate. I'm not sure if that's the Sheriff's Department's jurisdiction, which would kind of account for all these other different agencies because literally they're going to be the investigative agency when it's all said and done.
Now, we were talking about options earlier on. What about the tear gas option? I don't know, fired from an Arwin or whatever. Those canisters, though, should be able to penetrate those windshields, right?
Oh, they'll work. Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
They'll use 40 millimeters.
Right.
And it'll penetrate those windows, especially from that distance. Again, with the APCs, with the armored vehicles, you can deploy that from a variety of different angles. There's a number of different tactics that you can use.
Johnny, this is Stephanie Simmons in traffic. I'm just curious, would the end of this pursuit be the same way if it were on a freeway versus ending on a surface street? Would they quicken things up?
No.
They would let it play out on the freeway just this long. Interesting.
Absolutely.
So the key is to wear down that suspect.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it, and to do it safely.
Good plan, yeah.
Again, when you have time on your side, then you utilize it. There's really no reason. Perhaps if there was a hostage type situation or something, then that could potentially create a different issue. But it appears, at least from what we could tell, it was one person in the vehicle, and again, I haven't heard any information different from that. So let's take that and get it done on our terms as opposed to theirs.
Johnny,
you have been
the greatest
great
help.
resource for us.
Thank
we really
you.
appreciate it. And
Oh, sure.
and while we keep you, we want to tell everybody that we are going to keep an eye on this. We have our newscast coming up at 11 o'clock on CBS 2. But for now, I think we're going to return you to your regular program, so you can be about your day as well. But please join us at 11 o'clock.
Right, and also KCAL 9 News at noon, as well as you can find more information, and also you can keep an eye on